Well, good morning, and welcome again to the Way of Prayer. In this video, I'm going to show you an overall system for prayer in the Anglican tradition. What you'll see here is an integrated whole life of prayer that has several different parts. What you'll also see is that the various parts interact and influence each other. I'm going to start out with the overall and then move into some of the particulars, focusing almost entirely on the personal devotions piece. So what we have here, and I'm sharing my screen with you this time, is an overall model which was developed by the Reverend Robert Gallagher from the Order of the Ascension. As you can see, a traditional Anglican prayer life consists of weekly Eucharist, daily office, right over here, and reflection/personal devotions. Notice how Father Gallagher arranged them in a triangle with arrows pointing to each other element. This is because your practice of one of these elements has an effect on the other two. Regular attendance at Eucharist, right up here, will have an effect and enhance your experience of the daily office and also on your personal devotions and reflections. So devoting time to the daily office will deepen your experience of the Eucharist and give you a foundation for your personal devotions. And having regular personal devotions, right over here in this part of the triangle, will open up new experiences that you'll bring with you as you attend Holy Eucharist and as you go into the daily office. So each element has an effect on the other two, which is why we look at it as a system. So I'm going to pull up another model here, and this is the one of personal devotions. And for this, I'm drawing heavily off of Martin Thornton's work in Christian proficiency. So in that book, we can see that we can view personal devotions as also having three elements, but these three elements also will influence and have an effect on the other two. So right at the top here, we have the practice of recollection. This is the experience of turning all of your faculties, so your mind, your willpower, your affections, towards God and becoming keenly aware of God's presence. This kind of takes God into the realm of relating, because we know God is truly here and God is truly present. Some of the other videos I've posted on the practice of the presence of God and the prayer of recollection are expressions of this type of prayer. So over here on the left, we have colloquy, which this is what we typically think of when we say we are saying our prayers. This is about speaking to God in familiar terms, or even colloquially, which is where the name comes from. Here we can praise God, offer thanks, ask for help for ourselves and for others, etc., etc. Now the final piece is over here on the right, which is called mental prayer. Now, the idea here is to spend time thinking deeply and reflecting on the revealed truths of the Christian faith. You could read a Bible study slowly, as we do in weekly Lectio. You could gaze upon an icon and soak in every bit of it, extracting every piece of meaning from that icon. If recollecting is knowing that God is near, and if colloquy is speaking to God, mental prayer is the place where we listen to God, particularly to those things that God has already revealed to us. And this makes a lot of sense, because if you're going to be aware of God's presence, you need to know who God is. If you're going to speak to God, it's very helpful to know what God is actually like and what God is about. So, and that's why we practice mental prayer. All right, so I'm going to bring up one third document over here, and this is a worksheet, and what I'll do is I will I'll find a place to post this and then put a comment there so you can come back to it and download it yourself. Now in this worksheet, you can use this to tailor the various pieces of the rule of prayer to your own life. So this is almost the same thing that's included in Thornton's Christian proficiency. So the first column is weekly Eucharist, or it's just, you can just say Holy Eucharist. So how often will you attend, which service, where, which church will you be attending? So the second column involves the daily office. And this is something you can do on your own, or it could also be something you do with others at your church, if your church offers a public offering of the daily office. Hmm. So which form of the office will you use? Which office? Morning or evening prayer, noonday Compline? How frequently will you do it? And what resources will you draw off of? In the future, I'll be posting some other videos to help you along in practicing the daily office. And so the third column here is personal devotions, and that's what we've been talking about: recollection, mental prayer, and colloquy. So my advice for you is to pick one practice and do it for a period of time, and then go back and reflect on how it worked for you and making adjustments as necessary. In the beginning of Advent and Lent, both of these seasons are perfect times and opportunities to review your prayer practices and make some adjustments depending on where you are in your spiritual journey. And so one final bit of advice is to take it slowly. Don't try to fill out this form, in all of its glory the first time through. A prayer life takes years to develop, sometimes a lifetime. So start with what you currently do, and then add one element. If all you do right now is attend Eucharist maybe once a month, you could increase that to every 2 weeks or every week. If you don't have any practice of the daily office, but you're regular at Eucharistic attendance, you can start to add something, perhaps Compline before you go to bed. If you need some help with your personal devotions, pick one thing and add it in. And when you add one element to this, take some time to learn it. It takes time to develop prayer. So take time to learn how to pray in this manner and stick with it for a while, and then decide if it's something you want to keep and do on a more regular basis. All of us are works in progress, so it makes sense that our prayer life will develop as we do. So good luck with this, and if you have any questions, please feel free to post them in the comments below. God's peace.